Mm. This evening, I'd first like to start off by introducing myself. My name is Yamil Spade-Miller, and I'm the Executive Director of the Kings County Democratic Party here in Brooklyn. Brooklyn, make some noise. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and I want to start off first by saying good evening to our judicial candidates. We're very proud of you thus far. We know that this has been a long road, but we thank you all for being here. We thank members of the community that are here, those who are also, I see from the Judiciary, our vice chair who's in the room, our chair of the Ad-Hoc, our technology team, just everyone. And more importantly, those who are online right now and those who continue to join. We have about 50 people logged on at this time, so we just want to say hello to you all as well, who are in your rightful spaces and places joining us this evening. Before we move forward, I just want to acknowledge our county leader who could not be here with us today. As you know, it is a critical time around the world, right? Not just here, not just New York State, but it's a sensitive time. It's budget time. So our county leader, who also serves as the 42nd Assembly member here in Brooklyn, as well as the majority whip, is in Albany, and she did prepare a video that she'd like to share with you all in her absence.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Brooklyn Democratic Party's Judicial Candidate Community Forum, featuring Brooklyn Democratic Party's endorsed candidates for civil court. Is Brooklyn in the house? Woo! Come on, Brooklynites. We are the largest, the baddest, and most active county in the state and in the nation, and I want to thank you all for participating in this evening civic engaged judicial forum. I am, by be short, Herman, the Brooklyn's Dem Party Chair. And once again, I wish I could be here in person, but I am in Albany as the Assembly member and as the majority whip. We are negotiating and advocating for a robust budget that will address the state's need. I want to thank our Ad-Hoc Judicial Committee and our chair, Dana Rachlin, and also our other members, Michael Boomer, Jackie Painter, Serena Purcell, and Kanisha Cooper-Trayman. I also want to thank our staff and our executive director, Yamil Spike-Miller. Tonight will be another informative event as we continue to ensure transparency and inclusive process of getting to know who all of our endorsed civil court judge candidates and why they've been endorsed. Collectively, Brooklyn County has collected over 22,000 signatures for all of our endorsed candidates. Please take this time to ask questions and engage with some of your local candidates. This is an opportunity, again, to keep our county and being inclusive and transparent. Thank you for attending this wonderful and well put and thought out community forum. Thank you for your participation, which is incredibly valued and welcome. We are all looking to hearing from you. Again, we will continue to keep our ears open and get your input and involvement so that we can make our judicial system even more culturally competent and fair for everyone in Brooklyn. Thank you.
Let's give it up for our county leader, Bernice Bashad. Next.
Everyone. Welcome to the Brooklyn Democratic Party's Judicial Candidate Community Forum, featuring Brooklyn Democratic Party's endorsed candidates for.
We thank you, Chair.
Yes. Okay.
All right, next up, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to some and reintroduce to others the 57th female leader of the member also serving in the Ad-Hoc Judiciary and also a partner here in Mega Everest, the lovely Kanisha Trainer-Cooper.
Thank you, our Executive Director. Thank you all for coming this evening. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with us. Thank you for that. So I just wanted to give a few house rules. If you have any questions, when you first came in, there was one of the members of this committee, Mr. Mike Boomer. In the back, there was little cards that you were allowed to write questions on, but please hold them to the end, because more than likely your questions will be answered while we are doing the forum. Secondly, if you have to use the bathroom, I hope everyone knows exactly where it is. But if not, once you get out of the exit, you go to your second right, and then you'll see the men's and the females' bathrooms. So just to reiterate, I am Kenesha Trainum Cooper, the district leader, the female district leader for the 56th district. My co-leader, my big brother, Mr. Henry Butler, who is also the vice chair. I just want to acknowledge him. He's sitting right in the front. You can just raise your hand real quick so everyone knows who you are. You can clap for him. I want to make sure that everyone knows exactly why we are here. So as our county leader said, you know, our objective is to be the best, you know, not just the largest, but the best. And so we want to make sure that there's more equity. We want to make sure that there's more transparency and inclusion in the Democratic Party for Kings County. So that's why we are here, in hopes of making sure that we also raise our voters' registration as well. We want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to actually meet the people that we have decided to endorse as the Kings County. So we are excited for our panelists, for our people who we have saw fit for this time to be here, and I'm excited for all of you right now. And we want everyone that's either online and in person to feel comfortable and to also understand that there are some questions that they may not be able to answer at this time, if that's okay. So please accept that with grace. So we have a few people here who are on the committee along with myself. I just want to make sure that we keep our district leader, Jackie Painter. She is unable to be here. She had a family emergency. Keep her in prayer and her family. We have, again, Mike Boomer when he first walked in. He was there. We have Serana Purcell. We have our amazing chair, Dana Racklin, and she has been doing a phenomenal job with this committee. And we want all of you to know that we hear you loud and clear. We want your support by just showing up. And what does that mean? Showing up, whether you're being here, whether you're being online, but most importantly, at the polls. It's important for you to vote. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce to some and present to others my sister, who is absolutely amazing at what she does, which is community work, which is making sure that people have exactly what they need and sometimes want. She will come out of her house, leave her children, and support the community at any time of night. And I've known her to do this from seeing it happen. And so I just want to make sure that you all know who she is, and she's coming up right now for the 43rd district leader, female district leader, Ms. Serana Purcell.
Thank you, everyone. So this partnership would not be possible without the Department of Public Administration of Medgar Evers College. And our partnership, give a round of applause. And our partnership with Dr. Zuma Blair, who has been a stakeholder and a firm educator in our communities for many decades. As a professor and chairperson of the nationally ranked Department of Public Administration in Medgar Evers College, located in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Give it up for this institution. Dr. Blair has served as the Redistricting Research Director for the Center of Law and Social Justice at Medgar Evers College, and as the Borough President appointee to Community Educational Council, District 17. Through her educational career, Dr. Blair has held other significant titles. She was the co-author, creator of the first Medgar Evers Honors Award and the coordinator of the American Democracy Project, a national organization that's committed to producing graduates who understand and are committed to engage in meaningful action as citizens in democracy, and as deputy director. Her book, Participation at the Margin, Is It Race or Class? Investigative theories and put forth by students of political participation, and goes a step further to analyze voter and social class. She has written on Black mayoral leadership in medium-sized city, how low-income populations should be defined, and benefit of civic engagement to college and access individuals who have been involved in the criminal justice system. Dr. Blair's academic achievements also spill over to communities, where she was the chair of the Black Brooklyn Empowerment Coalition, an organization that was committed to political, economic, and social empowerment of people of African descent in Brooklyn. And just to close it up, Dr. Blair received her PhD in political science and Master's of Public Administration from Binghamton University, and she's the recipient of the Clifford Clark Fellowship. She has a JD from New York Law School. Quite a resume. I'm gonna bring up, you can make this great to the stage, Dr. Blair, while I'm reading. Bachelor's from Boston College, and she was recently received Above and Beyond Award from City and State, and she's the proud mother of 2 sons. She has been serving our community for many years, educating future leaders of tomorrow, and I'd like to thank her for her partnership and this fine institution, and to say words of greetings. Thank you.
I was not expecting introduction. Thank you, Sarada. Thank you. Welcome to Medgar Evers College. Thank you for hosting this event here. Congratulations to your endorsements from the Democratic Party. It is a good honor, so make life a little bit on the road to the judiciary a little bit easier. Thank you to Henry Butler and all the Democratic Party Executive Board. I see Judge Aline in the audience, and I see Sam Tate in the back, and our president of our Student Government Association, and to your meal. Thank you for choosing this location. As stated, my name is Dr. Zalima Blair. I'm chair of the Department of Public Administration. And one of the things that we, try to teach students is to just be involved in the process. So hopefully, next time, don't give us a Zoom link. Hopefully, most of them are on the Zoom link, watching the process play out, watching how judges educate the community, and understanding that there is something such as judicial activism, and that judges do make laws in areas that we will never even see, or areas that we don't even believe, right? Adoption, custody issues, all of the things that we painfully hear about. Judges are behind the scene making these tough decisions and making it the best outcomes for all. So congratulations again. Thank you for hosting it here, and you have a partner in me forever. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Blair. Next, we have up our moderator and chair of this Ad Hoc Judiciary Committee, the lovely Dana Ratchland. Just for you.
So I just have to one thing.
We're all spoiled having tech and these hybrid versions, post-COVID, and working it all out, which we will be doing. We're actively doing that. So yeah, I'm not going to give a long speech because we're running out of time, and I want to make sure we're here for questions. And I also want this to feel more like a conversation than what we did last time. We want to move this along in a way that allows us to have a more robust and deeper conversation to our 4 endorsed candidates. Just again, for everybody in this meeting at home, my name is Ina Rack. I'm chair of the Judiciary Committee for the Brooklyn Dems, and these are our 4 endorsed candidates who will be introducing themselves to all of you before we get into questions. But I want to say we heard the feedback that we got from the last forum, both online and in person. I took some of the questions that were provided in that survey, and I incorporated that into what we're going to talk about here tonight. So please, at the end, we'll put a QR code up, we'll drop it in the chat. Make sure you do the survey again, because we want to make this better and better as we continue to do these forums. So that being said, each of the candidates has a minute to introduce themselves before we get into some questions. And then, yeah, networking and try to catch them outside somewhere because you guys are at everything. So, oh, we heard everybody loud and clear. Name plaques, candidates.
Hello, okay, everyone can hear me. Good evening, everyone. It is, I'm thankful to be here, and it is an honor to have this opportunity to speak to everyone here. I want to thank, obviously, Member Evers and the Brooklyn Democratic Executive Committee for this opportunity. Just to be brief, my name is Monique Holaman. I was born and raised here in Brooklyn. I grew up in East Flatbush. Went to public school here. I went to John Jay High School. I then went to Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. I worked in finance for a little bit, and then I came back to earn my JD at Fordham Law University. I have been in the court system since 2010. I've worked with a number of different judges in a number of different areas. You name it, I've been mostly in the civil court part. So I've worked on things like medical malpractice cases, personal injury, guardianship cases, mental hygiene. I've worked in consumer debt, and I currently preside over all of these settlement conferences for foreclosures. So I am the first, there's a statutory settlement conference required for every individual in foreclosure, and I handle those cases to try and get a resolution and to make sure that individuals have proper representation in terms of preserving their homes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Turquoise, Haskin, and it's a pleasure to be here today as your candidate for Civil Court Judge, Kings County, County Line. I'm a Brooklyn native, and during my early years, I actually attended St. Mark's Day School, which is close by on President Street in Crown Heights. I'm a graduate of NYU and Emory University School of Law, and I have a wealth of experience in both the public and private sectors that provide me insight on how to best serve our community as an ex-jurist, but justice, fairness, and equity always top of mind. I've worked in several capacities in the court system, including serving as a court attorney in civil court, the court I seek to serve the people as your next jurist. I served as a principal law clerk to my judge currently in Supreme Court, and I currently work as a special referee of uncontested matrimonial matters, giving me the right to issue judgment of divorce. I also have extensive experience as a small claim arbitrator in civil court since 2013. Before entering the court system, I've experienced working at key governmental agencies such as the HPD, the largest municipal developer of affordable housing, as well as the New York State Attorney General's Office and private practice. I would love to bring my blend of experience and my great insight about community needs to the bench, and I look forward to our conversation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Betsey Jean-Jacques. I was born in the Flatlands area of Brooklyn to parents who immigrated from Haiti. I went to Syracuse University where I obtained a Juris Doctor while also working on a master's in social work. I got both. I got a master's in social work because I saw that a lot of clients had other issues than legal issues. They had mental illness and they had substance issues. And I knew that I would not understand the issues facing my clients if I didn't learn more and get a degree, so I did. I worked briefly as a social worker for a short time, but I've been an attorney in Kings County for 16 years. For the first 11 years of my career, I worked with UTC Legal Service, where I represented the vulnerable populations of Brooklyn, including the elderly, as well as adults and children in psychiatric institutions. That kind of work took me all over Brooklyn, in people's homes, in their hospital in Brooklyn, and nursing homes. I did that work for like I said, 11 years. And then I transitioned into being, for the last 5 years, the right hand of the Supreme Court judge in Kings County. And in that capacity, I'm helping draft decisions, do research, conference cases, and do most of the things that court attorneys do. But the most important thing I think that we do is prepare young college students to go to law school. I myself was the first in my home to go to law school. It can be scary, and we help students do that. I'm very involved in my bar associations. We've done a lot of community work with that, voter drives, and clothing drives, et cetera. And one of the things that I've done a lot of is do legal presentations on implicit bias. I was the former co-chair of the diversity committee of the Women's Bar of the State of New York, and I've done a number of presentations on implicit bias for both judges and lawyers in the legal community. My hope is that you learn a little bit more about me and why I am fit to be on the bench. And thank you all for coming this evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marva Brown, and I'm a candidate for Kings County Civil Court. I'm happy to be here at Edwards College in Crown Heights because I am a resident of North Crown Heights, right on the other side of Eastern Parkway. I reside with my husband and our 3 children. I am a lawyer for the last 16 years. I was born in Westchester, raised in Albany, but love New York City. So in 1999, when I graduated high school, I came to New York, where I attended Columbia University. I studied African American studies there because it was very important for me to know my people, understand my people, where we came from and where we're going, so that I could best serve my community. Immediately after graduating from Columbia, I entered law school at the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law. There I majored or focused in criminal defense. I was a member of the criminal defense clinic and the intensive trial advocacy program because it was important for me to be a litigator, to stand up in court, to represent my clients, to make sure that their rights are not violated, and make sure that even though they are members of or they're involved in the criminal legal system, they get the most out of the system, because we don't know why people come to court, but we know that the legal system and the law can be used to improve people's lives. So that's what my legal career has been as a public defender for the past 16 years. In Crown Heights, I'm a member of Community Ward 8. I sit on the Public Safety Committee, the Youth and Education Committee, and the Parks and Recreation Committee. I say I do all of those things because being a public defender is very difficult. I meet clients on the worst days of their lives, but I like to have fun. So I'm president of the Friends of Broward Park, and in that capacity, we do Juneteenth celebrations, story time in nature, other community events, Easter egg hunt with our district leaders and our elected officials. And so my commitment to the Brooklyn community is not only based in law, but also in seeing value and purpose in our community and just wanting to give back. So I thank you for being here tonight, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
I just want to point out what makes this so important, what we're doing here is the human element of these conversations and what you guys have shared about yourselves. Because as somebody who is in court almost all the time, I understand how important that is. It's not merely just knowing the law and doing the law, but really how can you relate to people and apply the things you learned about your experiences. So I just want to thank you all for giving me time. So I broke this up into some general questions, family court, criminal court, accessibility stuff, and then the more tenant court. So I thought maybe we would start with the accessibility and advisability of pro se litigants and their administrative skills. That came up a lot in the feedback that we had from the first forum. And people really wanted to understand how you are going to run your courtroom. If it can be run, I like to say when manifest these things. So an easy yes or no question to start is, are you comfortable with putting your chamber number on a public website? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, it's somebody reported that, right? This is important stuff. Yes. Okay. So another good question is, civil court has been backlogged since 1964. What strategies would you employ to reduce litigants' time waiting for their court date. And I'm going to time us on this, so let's try to keep it within 2 minutes. I'll just say that again. We have a tremendous backlog. What are the strategies that you would employ to reduce litigants' time waiting for their court date?
I think that one of the most difficult things for people to do when they're involved in the legal system is to actually take time out of their lives, going to school, working, taking care of their families, their children, their elderly parents, disabled family members, to come to court. And everyone, yes, deserves their day in court, but I think it's really important for the legal system, the court system, to be cognizant and aware of the circumstances of the litigant. So one thing that I would do is make sure that we're giving people the opportunity to appear virtually for their court appearances. I think, having people sit around in crowded courtrooms for hours for a 1 to 2 minute court appearance that's just administrative is a waste of people's time, money, and resources. And so I think that if there are more opportunities to appear virtually, we have the Zoom cameras, we can see the person, make sure that they are who in fact they say they are, but also just make sure that the court process is moving forward without taking away from people's lives. I also think that judges have a responsibility to do proper calendar control. You can't put 200 cases on the calendar and expect people to get work done because it's just too much. And I think it's the responsibility of the judge to make sure that you have a manageable calendar so that the people that are actually appearing in front of you in person are getting your time, your attention, your care, and having the access to justice that they deserve.
So there's while it is important to have a virtual proceedings, I also think that there is something to say to be coming into court, to be able to see people, because oftentimes technology fails and people are frustrated by that. And while I understand that, one of the things that we have to let people know is that, as a member of the court system now, we are working, and it's also educating the community about, what happens. We always can't rush into everything, and we need to help our clients understand, help people understand that the process is here for you, but it can take some time. We don't want people waiting to, on the flip side, be kicked out of their home and lingering. We don't want people who are waiting for services to be good forever. We want to make sure that they have the time to say what they need to say, and proper time for everyone to come in and have that opportunity for her. But I also think for me, it's important to, while you have a management calendar, is making sure that if there's a reason for an adjournment, that you speak to people about why that adjournment is. You don't put that out for 5 months, but try to see as soon as you can bring them back in. Also, the things that are an emergency, prioritizing that and understanding that sometimes we can't rush everything, because I think studies have shown that judges rush, that's when bias creeps in. So we want to make sure we give everybody what they do, but also understanding that, we are in a process that takes a little bit of time. Not that, we're not working, but we want to give everybody the opportunity to be heard. We want to make sure that we're not looking at what it is they've done or, what the issue is, but also the person. There's a lot of elderly people who are guardianships in my experience who come to court and they want to have their day in court, and they don't understand about adjournments or things that happen. So, it takes the time to explain what's going on. Because sometimes when there is an adjournment of guardianship, it's because we're trying to get you one shot in so that you can stay in your home, or it's because we're trying to get medical services to your home at the time. Because while the court system wants to move, there are other agencies that we have to speak to. So for me, it's important to make people understand what's going on, not just doing what we telling you you're going to sit here all day, but also explaining to you what the process is.
Case management, I believe it's essential that we re-institute evening small claims court. Many people work 9 to 5, and it's very difficult for them to take out time during the day to either defend a case or to prosecute a case. So I think that will definitely be essential in civil court to get cases moving in a fluid, systematic fashion. I also believe that there's strong benefits in helping parties resolve disputes on their own terms. Settlement conferences prior to trial, as well as prior to any proceedings, is essential to getting cases to move forward, because not all cases have to go to trial. So I think it's important that court attorneys, as well as judges, sit with parties and help them to find commonalities in their disputes and help them craft meaningful resolutions to their disputes, because many ways, there are oftentimes instances where they could decide matters on their own terms, but there's no need to have to go through elongated proceedings.
Thank you. I'm actually in a unique position to handle this question because actually when I first started, I started handling the foreclosures back in 2016. They consolidated all of the foreclosures in my part. And one of the things that we did do, what is important first and foremost, is looking at opportunities to settle, but also making sure that individuals, especially in high pro se parts, where individuals do not have representation, that they have representation available. Because one of the things that you find that poses a bigger problem is their misunderstanding of the law, of their rights, of their options, of their viable options. And so that's key to actually moving the court along. It's also important for the court as the judge and their chambers to sort of look at things inside of the part itself and looking at cases. There were a number of cases that had come before me that for a mere matter of just like clerical errors, cases that should have been dismissed or had been discontinued, but they weren't properly checked, should have been relieved. So it's important to do our due diligence as well in making sure that cases are actually processed properly the first time. And again, it's important to see if you can settle cases as soon as they come in and making sure that individuals have access to representation before they come to court, and that the first time that they're speaking in court is not the first time that they speak to a representative. So in my cases currently, what I do is when I send out the links, because I do all of my conferences virtually, I send out the calendar, I send out the links to how to answer a complaint, I send out the link to all of the different services like Brooklyn Legal Services, Brooklyn Access Justice. I send all of that information to individuals in the first part so that they are already starting the process before they come in front of us. And then on every single call that I have in my calendar calls, there is someone from one of those organizations as well to be there to represent. So that first adjournment should be a beneficial adjournment. Thank you.
That's actually a great segue into the next question, which is about how do you create a courtroom that is accessible to pro se litigants? So people that are not familiar with court, when we talk about pro se, it means that they're unrepresented. And when we talk about accessibility, it's physically accessible, language accessible, knowledge accessible, all of those things. So I'm wondering, we'll start back there, and so I try to move there, or maybe I'll have children's go first. So if we were at the point where people would be like, well, she's not my answer, so I'll give you a chance to say it first. So how do you intend to create a courtroom that is accessible for pro se litigants?
The courtroom can be made accessible in so many ways. One key way is language access. Many people have English as their second language or are not fluent in English. So it's important to have court interpreters present to help them understand the proceedings and help them to testify in a clear, fluid manner. Also, it's very important that people that may have disabilities, that they have the ability to enter a courtroom in an easy way in order to proceed with their case. So it's important to have ADA compliant courtroom, and we have that in Supreme Court. It's also important that pro se litigants understand how to proceed with cases. Oftentimes, they don't understand how to proceed with So it's imperative for court staff to help post litigants understand the process of proceeding with the case, not giving them legal advice per se, but giving them procedural information to help them, and also giving them the opportunity to retain counsel if they need it for adequate representation. Also, just giving post litigants the opportunity to be evaluated, to be carefully heard, and just be given the patience and the dignity that they deserve.
Continue on with sort of what I was just talking about. So all of the things that I just said are pretty much some of the things that I would incorporate to make sure that pro se litigants have availability. One of the things that you do have to understand as we talk about interpreters is that although we have Spanish on hand, and I believe we have Haitian Creole on hand, some of the other languages aren't that readily available. So for my cases, prior to them coming to me, we find out any of those issues beforehand, and I set that up with the interpreter at that time. I also do those cases first so that we aren't taking up a number of time, or sometimes I'll set out different break rooms, or if the information is more intimate, I'll set up a separate calendar so that we're not, wasting not everyone's time, but everyone's not here going back and forth with that process. So I think it's important to try and get ahead of the game and be proactive in working with pro se litigants. So like I said, giving them access to the organizations before their first court date, giving them accessibility to knowing that there'll be interpreters, I have it set up at a specific slot of time. All of those things help with the process.
One of the things that when you come to court that most people don't know, is that every part has rules. And it's important if these rules are posted and they are available in other languages. It's easy for someone to read outside the courtroom, but they're not lost. I think that first step of knowing what to expect inside is important. The other thing is that making sure that your courtroom staff is sensitive and culturally sensitive. That they understand that the people who are coming from different views, and it requires patience. I think the first thing that, how you greet someone and how you speak to them, especially when most people don't want to come to court. They're nervous, they're scared, and if you give them a little bit of patience and listen, and direct them probably that help. Also, I know in the Supreme Court building, we do have legal volunteer assistants. It would be a lot beneficial if we had longer hours for that. A lot of people want to talk to someone. Unfortunately, poor staff can't give that advice. But I also think, again, explaining to people what it is they have to come, like other people have said, giving them instruction on the procedure and making it accessible for language. And also for your courtroom staff, making sure that they understand that patience is important, especially with people who are hearing, who may not hear, who are disabled in some way, who are terrified, and just give them a little patience to answer some questions. So that's it.
When I think about accessibility, I think about setting the tone as the judge and the leader in the courtroom to make it accessible. So many times I've appeared in court with clients where the judges, they are preoccupied, they're looking down, they're looking at their cell phones, and not really giving the parties appearing in front of them their full attention. And when that is the tone that's set from the bench, it leads to discourteousness from other staff. It leads to preoccupation and a level of frustration where if there is someone in need, people are less inclined, like people like the court staff, less inclined to be kind and offer assistance. And so I think it's the important role of the judge to set the tone in the courtroom to make sure that we know that we're here for business, we're here for the law, but also we are dealing with people's lives and very important, serious issues to those individuals that are appearing in front of us, and we must take it all seriously. So I think when we're talking about accessibility, it's about the judges setting the tone in the room for all staff members, whether it is the interpreters, whether it's the court officers, whether it's the clerk that's pulling the files, giving information, making copies, so that the people have the information that they need. Setting the tone is what I think is the most important.
yeah, the tone, I mean, long ago, it was really hard to come to court and feel heard, seen, and respected, and that's why we have community courts set up. And now it's kind of like, court should be like that, and so that's my way of, you're listening, we want all courts to operate, community courts. So thank you all for that. And I'm curious to see how that plays out when you do. So last time we asked some questions and it felt maybe as though things were too vague, either the questions or the answers. And so we wanted to talk about some scenarios that might come before you. So one that I'm really interested in is if you were to be sitting in commercial tenant court and you have a business owner that comes before, that's before you, waiting to be evicted. And the landlord wants them out, right? They want to pay rent or whatever. What factors would you consider if the tenant is asking you for more time in that space? If any.
Well, I would have to look at the law, the case law, and see what factors are applied. I can't say exactly what those factors are, but in any case, it's always prejudice to the other side, as well as the reason for any adjournments. No one factor is controlling, but you want to listen to everybody's reasoning. Hopefully, come up with a fair and just conclusion.
I would say that a major factor is why is there termination, why is there an eviction proceeding, and the ladies here have spoken about whether or not there's an opportunity to settle or compromise. I think that when we're talking about keeping businesses in our communities, making sure that growth stays in our communities, it is important to give people the opportunity to work and thrive. So if there is a way that we can work out a settlement, I think that would be something to consider. If it's just an issue of back pay, rent is due, or this is why the eviction proceeding fraud, then there could be a conversation of what resources are available to make sure that the landlord or the owner is going to get paid as soon as possible, because I'm sure the landlord has financial obligations as well. But I think it's a matter of seeing if we can somehow keep a small business in the community and contribute to the community.
As a court attorney in civil court, I had the pleasure of working in commercial landlord tenant court for 6 years. And while there in Part 52, I was able to help parties craft meaningful resolution to their disputes. And when they would first appear before me for conference, they might be extremely far apart. But when I spoke to them and asked them about the length of their relationship, how long the lease was, what was the background or source of the dispute, when I went over those items with them, they realized oftentimes that they had a long-standing relationship and that oftentimes they just needed a middleman to help them to address some of their differences and come to terms with how they could appropriately resolve their matters. Because in many ways, the landlord wanted the tenant to stay, but was disgruntled because there could have been some payments that they defaulted on. So once both parties acknowledged that there was potentially rent outstanding and that they were able to work out a meaningful payment plan to resolve the dispute, I was able to help them reach settlements. And I happen to have done that many times over years, especially with very widely acclaimed establishments, restaurants, salons, and commercial landlords. So I think that's one of the key aspects of commercial landlord tenant cases is helping parties see eye to eye to reach settlements on their own terms.
And I'll just piggyback off of that. It's very accurate in the sense that there are things that you can look at the time, how long they had this relationship, obviously the reason for the default.